Shabbat Shalom, Israel. All praise to the Most High. It's another Friday. We made it to another Shabbat after a long week in hell. But now we get to spend time with our brethren. We get to spend time with our sisters. We get to spend time in fellowship with one another and relax. So let's go ahead. We're finna jump into it. I think Izar, the door. I think this lesson is a really helpful one. This lesson is going to be a really fruitful one. The title is Faithful Men versus Fake Friends. Now, This includes women too. Faithful men and faithful women versus fake friends, which are both men and women. Let's go to Proverbs. There's a scripture in Proverbs I want to touch first. Chapter where you at? Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 6.
Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 6. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness.
So hold on. It says most men will proclaim to people their own goodness. People are so quick to talk about, what they're good at. People are so quick to talk about all of their positive attributes, right? Read.
But a faithful man who can find.
It says, but a faithful man who can find. So with all of that you're talking about, I don't care if it's how great of a speaker you are, how great of a teacher you are, how much money you got, how nice you think you look. He said, but how faithful are you? It says, who can find that? It ain't a lot of people that can I guess for lack of better words, boast about being a faithful man. It ain't a lot of people that you can look at and be like, man, that's a great brother. That's a faithful brother. That's a trustworthy brother. So it says a lot of people will sit there and talk about all the things they're so great at, so amazing at, all the things that they can do, all the things that they got. It said, but a faithful, read that from the top.
Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness.
Read.
But a faithful man who can find.
But who can find one of those? Who can find a faithful man? Let's go to Psalms. And I wanted to bring that out first because that is something that is in human nature. In human nature, people have a tendency to accentuate the things that they're good at. People have a tendency to boast about the things that they can do, the things that they have. But that's one thing. A faithful individual, there's specific characteristics, specific traits. You won't see them do that. You'll be able to see that they're faithful by the things that they do, right? And so it says, so who can find one of those? Those are so far and few between. That's the point that's being made. Go to Psalms, chapter 12. We're going to read verses 1 and verse 2. This is just a warm-up. This lesson is going to get a lot better. This lesson is going to get a lot more intense. Psalm chapter 12, verse 1 and 2.
Help, Lord, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men.
So, it says the godly man ceaseth, the faithful fail from among the children of men. We're living in a time where finding a faithful friend, a faithful man, or a faithful woman, whether it's in a relationship, a friendship, faithfulness to God, all of that is now becoming skewed. All of that is now becoming subjective. It says godliness is ceasing. You can see that in society today. Now, here's the crazy part. You can see that in the truth today. There's a lot of people, for those of you who talk to other individuals that are quote unquote in the truth, for those of you who are on social media that see other Israelites, godliness is ceasing even amongst those that are in the truth. The faithful are failing even in the truth. And a lot of times it's because of these godly people in the truth. Read on.
They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor.
This is in the truth and out of the truth. They speak vanity with their neighbor. The new thing is, how many members can we get? Look how many people following us. Look how many wives I can get. This is the mindset of those that are in the truth whose main focus should just be gathering the sheep, opening their eyes. No, I need to bring them to me, which is why you got a lot of people in this walk that are brand new, watching 300 hours of YouTube, and now they think they're a teacher. And they're teaching people and leading them astray because they don't have a foundation, because they focused on the Daniel breakdown, the Revelation breakdown, the Isaiah breakdown, all of the deep sayings, because people like to follow people that sound like they know what they're talking about. People like to follow people that sound deep. And all of these people that sound so deep but are yet so foolish are leading people astray. And again, the mindset isn't even how many people can I bring to the Lord? It's how many people can I get to follow me? It says they speak vanities. Read on.
They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor. With flattering lips and with a double heart do they speak.
With flattering lips and a double heart. Now, here's the crazy part. In the truth, you have a lot of people that have what's called like a double heart. Now, you can look at that as, you know, they're questioning their faith. You can look at it as they're what's called fake, two-faced, right? But there's a lot of people in Israel that have what's called a double heart. A lot of people are not sincere in this walk. How do we know this? Oh, there's been many conversations that have been had where you find out people don't care about what is right. People care about who is right. Now, for those of you who may not understand what I just said, people don't care about what the righteous doctrine is. People will argue you down wrong as hell just to make sure that they don't sound wrong. Because their ego is more important than the truth. That's what we're living in right now. Read that from the top, verse 1.
Verse 1, help, Lord, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men. They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor. With flattering lips and with a double heart do they speak.
This is the godly. This is the quote unquote alleged faithful individuals. But they're not really that. Let's go to Matthew 24. Let's talk about how this is even, you know, coming to be, because you know this is prophecy. Go to Matthew 24 and verse. I want verse 12, but read verse 4 first. Salakia, verse 3.
Matthew 24 and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Now drop down to verse 12.
And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
So it said, how are we going to know we in the end times? One of the things that Christ said was, because wickedness, iniquity, sin will abound, the love of many will wax cold. Remember what the first scripture said, a faithful friend who can find? Well, in a world full of cold hearts, how often will you find an individual with a warm spirit? How often will you find that faithful friend? They're very far and few between, especially in these dark times, right? Especially in this truth, especially in this walk. Let's go to Sirach. I don't want to touch on this piece too long. I want to get this out the way, and then hopefully get to some spiritual healing. Sirach chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 7, and we're going to read down to 13. We're going to talk about this right here.
Sirach chapter 6, verse 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him.
We talking about friends. Fake friends, faithful friends, real friends, brothers, fake brothers, all of that, right? So it says, before you get a friend, when you meet an individual, test their spirit, test them. Spend some time around. Don't just jump in and call them a friend. I tell my kids that all the time. You just met that kid at the park. Don't sit there and say they're your friend. Oh, my friend said, can I go back over there? No, that's not your friend. You just met them. That's just the kid at the park. It's no offense to them, but, you don't know them. So it says, before you get a friend, prove them. Test them out. Spend some time around them. See what they're about. Vet them. Read.
For some man is a friend for his own occasion.
And that's why. Some people are users. You got a lot of that in this walk. I don't even want to deal with people in the world. I mean, because we already know you got a lot of people that use you for what they got. People will tell you, we cool because they got something to give me. That's how some relationships be working. We together because I know what he can give me or what she can give me. Not because they really care about each other. It's just like, I know I'm benefiting off of this. But we talk about in this walk. Some people are friends for their own occasion. What can I get from you? How much can I get from you before this friendship means nothing anymore? Before you can't give me any, before I can't benefit from it anymore, right? Some are friends for his own occasion, read.
And will not abide in the day of thy trouble.
And when you low, guess who you can't call? That person you've been doing so much for. That's why the scriptures tell you to prove that friend. Because you got people that are like that. That's real. Man, as much as I did for this individual, now that I'm having hard times, they ain't picking up the phone. Now that I run into hard times, they kind of like, well, I don't know what to tell you. After everything an individual did for them. After every time I looked out for them. But these are individuals that are friends for their own occasion. Once I get nothing out of you, I'm not answering what I need you for. I'd have milked you for everything. Read.
And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover thy reproach.
Now, this is a friend that is what's called vengeful. For whatever reason, y'all had a falling out, y'all not cool anymore. It says they're going to do what they can to discover your reproach. What does that mean? They're going to try every possible way to, quote unquote, exploit you. Oh, they're wicked. Oh, here is why. Oh, they're power hungry. Oh, here is why. Oh, this brother is a sinful brother. Here is why. Oh, you shouldn't be dealing with that brother in here. They're trying whatever they can do to make you look bad, whatever they can do to throw smut, throw dirt on your name. That's what they're going to do. But these are brothers who were never real brothers to begin with, because that is against the law. I'm going to go to, I think it's Sirach 9. This one just came to me. Sirach chapter 9, or is it 11? Let me grab it. Because again, to the point that's being made, an individual that would do that, I'm trying to, extort them, make them look bad, right? Watch this. Here. Go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 19. I'm sorry. 19 and read verse 8. And then we're going to go over to Leviticus just to deal with this particular point.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 19, verse 8. Whether it be to friend or foe, talk not of other men's lives.
Whether you're talking to an enemy or a friend, it said one thing you don't do, you don't talk about other people's business, right? And it's specifically talking about to be a talebearer. It's talking about to embarrass someone or exploit them, stuff like that, right? Read.
And if thou canst without offense, reveal them not.
And that's how we know, because it says if it's a situation, the scriptures tell you if somebody's in sin, you go to them, and if that don't work, you go to, you grab 2 or 3 witnesses and so on and so forth. So we know that if it's like a sinful or wicked situation, that's not, sometimes that has to be put out there because open rebuke is better than secret love. But this is talking about like if somebody hits hard times, it's not your duty to go, hey, you know, hey, that's Shamar, bro. You know, that dude asked me for $20 for some food yesterday. Hey, you know, sister such and such. You know why she ain't been to class recently, right? You know, she can't get no gas money, bro. It's crazy. Struggling. That's not your business. It's not your business to be like, you know, brother such and such ain't been here because, you know, his wife been stressing him out. That's tail bearing. It's being a busybody. Scriptures say whether you're talking to an enemy, talking about an enemy, talking to a friend, talking about a friend, you don't run your mouth about people's business. Scriptures tell you in Sirach 11, strive not in matters that don't concern thee. Go to Leviticus 19 real quick. Because again, we'll get that in the law. We're talking about fake friends. 19, verse 16.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord.
You shouldn't be going up and down as a gossiper. You shouldn't be going up and down as what they call a slanderer. That's literally against the law. But you have friends, quote unquote, and once they get tired of you or they mad at you or whatever the case is, they're going to try to discover your reproach, show your dishonor, exploit you, even if it ain't none there. Out of their own, I don't know, revenge or whatever the case is, which, you know, Leviticus 18, thou shalt not avenge nor bear grudge. Again, against the law. But a fake friend will have a situation like that. I'll give you an example, right? I like to bring things to today, bring things to situations that I've personally seen, heard about in this walk, in this truth. There was an individual who had a wife, probably like his third wife at this point. I don't know. His wives keep leaving him. I don't know what's going on. And people saw his wife, and she was dressed not like a woman in this walk. You know, tight clothes, no fringes, cleavage, all that. The picture was, you know, him standing next to her. A lot of people commented on the picture. It was, you know, hey, you know, is she in the truth? Is she not in the truth? This ain't a good look, so on and so forth. Instead of correcting her, brother goes, you know, it's a lot of you brothers. Y'all worried about my house, but, you know, before the chick that you married, before she was your wife, I know she was dealing with such and such over there. I know that, you know, she been around the block. First of all, if you are a brother in this walk, that is something you should notify me of. If you're a brother in this walk, it shouldn't be tit for tat. You're saying this about my wife, so y'all need to take care of your house, though, because the woman you with, some of y'all, I ain't gonna say nothing, no, well, you wicked. Why you ain't say nothing? Wicked as hell. But this is, again, we got a lot of fake friends in Israel, a lot of fake brothers in Israel. You're Rob, turn up the focus right. The left knob on the red box, turn it up a little bit. So this is something that we literally, no, not right here on the no, but the but that's literally the time that we're in. That's why Christ said in the end times, remember that. There's going to be so much iniquity, the love of many is going to wax cold. Even in this walk, you got a lot of people that don't got love. It's so bad. When I've seen people say, I'd rather go back into the world. At least it's more love by them. Y'all always fighting. Y'all always debating. Y'all show more hate than the people in the world. That's a bad sign. That's a horrible sign. Brothers in the truth, making diss tracks about brothers. And now here's the thing. And And that's what I'm getting to, because they be, oh, did y'all bishop do that? Here's the thing. There's people that are making unwarranted tracks about things that don't concern them, haven't had the conversation with particular brothers that they feel a way about, all of that, right? It's different if, I done tried to Matthew 18 it, I done tried to deal with him, Jake just wicked. Okay. Ain't nothing you can do about that. But there's people out here making songs and diss tracks, and it's like, you ain't even went and talk to that man. There's some brothers out there that instead of talking to that man, or when someone's trying to, well, let's try to fix it, brothers like, I don't want to talk to you. But that's not brotherly, bro. So you're choosing to hold this grudge. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. But that's what happened in a world full of wickedness. Remember, the scripture said in Proverbs 24, it says, the ways of the righteous are more excellent than his neighbor, but the ways of the wicked will seduce him. That bearing a grudge and that spirit of, it's honestly a feminine spirit, but like people would refer to as kind of like toxic, quote unquote, toxic masculinity. I want to hold a grudge. I'm not messing with him like that. Whatever the case is, I ain't going to let no nigga talk to me, that whatever. All of that comes from what people are seeing in the world, how things are being dealt with in the world. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. Let's go to, where do we stop at? In Sirach chapter 6. Read on.
Sirach chapter 10, Sirach chapter 6, verse 10. Again, some friend is a companion at the table.
Listen.
And will not continue in the day of thy affliction.
You got a lot of fake friends out there like this. I've known many of brothers in this walk. And brothers will point out the names. Man, hey, whenever we had soldiers class, who was the first one to be begging for food? Hey, when brothers was asking them for food, what was they looking like? There's a lot of people like that. We can name a few of brothers that we, looked at as blood brothers. They're not here no more, but, it is what it is. But that's a real thing, even in this walk. Read on.
Verse 11, but in thy prosperity, he will be as thyself.
We to the hip, joint to the hip, when you up. When you up, I'm up. Read.
And will be bold over thy servants.
It's kind of like both of ours. Read.
If thou be brought low, he will be against thee, and will hide himself from thy face.
He was on you. We was up. But now when you low, it's like, damn, that looks like a you problem, sir.
You fell off.
You fell off. There's, how many people how many celebrities and athletes that went broke, went poor, went bankrupt because they was like, I had to help my family. And then when they went broke, poor, and bankrupt, their family didn't do nothing for them. These are these friends that are only friends for what you can do for them. You have the same situations going on amongst people who say they walk the same walk as we do, that say they have the faith in Christ, that say they're keeping these laws. And the laws utterly speak against these things. But people have this mindset. It's a shame when, it's like, man, I got business ventures. I want to do this. I want to do that. But even in the truth, money will make people act funny. That's these fake friends right here. These fake friends that's only cool for a season. These fake friends that are only cool for what you can get, what you can do for them and get them. And what you can't do for them no more, Read on.
Separate thyself from thine enemies and take heed of thy friends.
Keep your enemies far away from you. And choose your circle wisely. It says, take heed of your friends. Pay attention. Be circumspect of who you allow in your circle. 2 reasons. 1, your friends are a reflection of you. Water sinks to its own level. Birds of a feather flock together. All that good stuff. Your friends are a reflection of you. So pay attention to the people that you hang around with, because they People will judge you based off of who you hang out with. Number two, you got a lot of Judases in a lot of circles. They're called opportunists. And the moment they get the opportunity to sidestep you, to be the one on top, they gonna do that. So the scriptures say, take heed to your friends. Take heed to who is around you. Now, let's go to Proverbs 26. Proverbs 26 and verse 17.
Proverbs chapter 26, verse 17. He that passeth by and meddleth with strife belongeth not to him. Belonging not to him is like one that taketh the dog by the ears.
Now, one is telling you, mind your business, because when you getting into other people's business, it's like if you grab a dog by the ears. What does that mean? It means you're setting yourself up for something to bite you in your, You creating issues for no reason, right? Read.
As a madman who casteth firebrands, arrows, and death.
Now watch this. Read. So wait, it says, as an individual who does these things, they cast firebrands, arrows, and death. Read.
So is the man that deceiveth his neighbor and saith, am not I in sport?
It says, so an individual who does things like this, a dangerous individual that creates problems, and say, well, I was just joking. Right. Individual went around telling everybody, hey, that brother's an adulterer. I was just playing, bro. After I done ruined your reputation, after I done deceived, even if I just deceived and exploited you, or I've deceived other people in ruining your name, and I was like, oh, man, it wasn't that big of a deal. I was just joking. I had to have a conversation with a couple of people and had to explain to them. They're like, well, that's just another man's opinion. Yeah, but that man's opinion is a big deal amongst people because they have a voice. So if their opinion is a slander to an individual, it is more than just their opinion, because other people will look at these individuals and say, oh, well, yeah, such and such said this about them, and I watch and I follow and I believe such and such, so I'm not going to deal with them. You are literally throwing smut on an individual's name. And it's like, it's not that big of a deal. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. But it says an individual who's shooting arrows and causing death, it said that's that's a mischievous individual. It says that's the type of person that'll sit there and try to deceive you and be like, I'm just playing. That's a fake friend. Like I'm gonna sit up here and cause all these issues and then just be like, I was just joking. I was just kidding, bro. Man, you gotta lighten up. These are fools. These are foolish individuals. These are fake people and fake friends. But like I said, I don't want to harp on that. I wanted to touch on that really quickly. No, we don't need that. I wanted to touch on that. I wanted to kind of give you guys an idea, because it's a lot of that going on in Israel. And Lord willing, people start checking themselves. But we're going to get into also faithfulness, faithful men. And you're going to find out, some brothers and sisters who aren't doing those things are still not really faithful as we go through some of these qualities, some of the traits.
Mic test.
God. Let's go to we're gonna go to one that we always go to. We're gonna be in Sirach a lot. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 37. We're talking about faithful. Actually, let me see. We're going to Ecclesiastes regardless. The question is, where do I want to start? Ecclesiastes chapter. Let's start at, I want to do 6 first, because there's some things in Ecclesiastes 6 that I want to highlight. I want to start at verse 14, and we're going to read down to 17.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 14. A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that hath found such an one hath found a treasure.
A faithful man is a strong defense. But we're going to read on so we can see what it's talking about. Read.
Nothing doth countervail a faithful friend, and his excellency is invaluable.
There's nothing that you can get better than a true, honest, trustworthy, faithful friend. Read.
A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him.
Now this is what I wanted to get to. Read verse 17.
Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright, for as he is, so shall his neighbor be also.
Now, going back to verse 14, I wanted to get down to 17 so we can now break it down. A faithful friend is a strong defense. Why? Because a true friend, a trustworthy friend, is going to be there through thick and thin. Is going to be there even when it's inconvenient for them. Is going to go out of their way for you. Is going to try and give you their last if they got it. There's a lot of brothers in this walk, even in the body, that aren't taking on that mindset, that aren't taking on that spirit. If it inconveniences me, I'm sorry, bro, I can't do it. It's not a true friend. It's not a faithful friend. If it's a situation where it's like, man, I already kind of had this plan. Okay, but you can't reschedule that? Nah, you can. You just don't want to. Or, I just got home, so I can't. If an individual cannot count on you, you're not a strong defense. Because this is not just talking about, I'm making sure they keep the straight and narrow, and keeping the commandments. It's an overall defense. Man, I'm low on finances. I know the brothers that I can call when I'm struggling. They looking out for me. That's my defense. Man, I'm struggling in the spirit. I know which brothers I can call, that I can count on, that's going to answer the phone, that's going to give sound advice. That's a strong defense. Man, these brothers over here tripping, man, I might, such and such might have to go to. I know which brothers I can call on if we got to go to war. That's my defense. Man, it's some brothers over here that's trying to build, they said they want to talk scripture. I know which brothers I can call on that put the Most High first. That's my defense. A faithful friend is a defense. A true friend is a defense, even in a time of inconvenience. There's been brothers that I had situations at 3, 4 in the morning that I was able to call, that came by and made sure I was good. Those are defenses. Verse 15, nothing doth countervail a faithful friend. It says there's so many people that'll sell you out for the right price, but the scriptures is telling you, bruh, it ain't nothing better than a true friend, because a true friend is a defense against anything. For most of us, money gonna run out. And if you did that one friend wrong, you out of money and you out of a solid defense against everything else. Now you out 2 different things because you done sold this individual out for the right price. It says nothing will countervail a friend. Nothing can go against a faithful. Nothing is better. Nothing can measure up to a true brother and a true friend. Someone who truly has your back. Someone who you can count on. Someone that's reliable. In all things, in every area. And he that hath found such an one hath found a treasure. It's crazy because I really think that a lot of people don't understand how special it is to have genuine people around you. it's so, we live in a world of counterfeit. Like, people don't even know how to deal with real people, like true friends. Verse 15, verse 16. A faithful friend is medicine of life. That was cold. A faithful friend is the medicine of life. What does that mean? A faithful friend. The medicine of life is the cure. A true friend that you can count on, that's trustworthy, that you know always got your back. It's like medicine. It immediately heals you. When you got that one individual, there's some brothers here, and I know certain brothers got a relationship with other brothers. Like, if I'm just hanging with this kid, like this cat right here is like a Jonathan and David situation. Whenever I'm with my boy such and such, like it's beautiful. Man, I probably ain't talked to such and such in months, but when we talk, it's like we ain't missed a beat. And it's refreshing. Having a true friend is refreshing. Being able to get the stress off your chest this is why they're the medicine of life, because true friends are the ones that you talking to. I know brothers here that conversations that have been had, and brothers is like, man, broke down and start crying. They needed to get that out and off their chest. Mm-hmm. But they had that medicine. They had that true friend that sat there and listened, gave them advice, cried with them, consoled them, encouraged them, exhorted them. It's the medicine of life. Because it's a lot of, the quiet is kept, there's a lot of things in this walk that are borderline drive you mad. Whether it's the things in the world, whether it's your marriage, whether it's financial stress. And if you have nobody that you can speak to, vent to, it'll eat you up inside. You be ready to break a window. You find yourself snapping on everyone over everything and can't figure out why. But when you have that outlet, that's your medicine. Like, man, I feel good now. A faithful friend is the medicine of life. And they that fear the Lord shall find him. The Most High has set you up with individuals, put you in a position with individuals. If you following the Lord gonna make sure you good. He'll put you in a position to have the right people around you. Then it says, whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright. This faithful friend is going to always try to make sure that you're doing what's best for you. Not in the worldly sense, you just got to make sure you're happy. No. You got to make sure that you're doing what the Most High wants you to do. That's what a faithful friend is going to do. Not, well, that's my boy, but, he be on there. Let him do his own thing. No. A real friend, and they probably know they're going to hear your mouth about it. They know it's probably going to be an argument about it. I know what's best for you, bro. I know when you on nonsense. A real friend is going to make sure that they're setting their friendship aright, setting their brother on the right track. That's why a faithful friend has to be one that fears the Most High. Verse 14 through 17, it concluded with 17 to say this, because it said a faithful friend is a strong defense. Then it goes and says nothing is better than a faithful friend. Then it goes on to say a faithful friend is medicine of life. Then it goes on to say a faithful friend is a person who fears the Lord and directs his friendship aright. Your faithful friend got to be righteous. Ain't no way you calling you got a best friend and your best friend in the world.
You're right.
They may be faithful and, if I need some money, they got me, whatever. But are they checking your spirit? Well, how can they if y'all not even on the same walk? But you got a best friend that's in the world. well, they at least accept, what I do. Okay, so when you out of pocket and you venting to your best friend, are they saying, girl, you don't need to be talking about that, or bro, that's some BS. You don't need to be, I thought you were supposed to be spiritual. Your book, I'm pretty sure your book ain't telling you to do boom, boom, boom. Or are they feeding into it and adding fuel to your fire? Are y'all talking nonsense together? Because if so, that ain't a faithful friend. And that's why the scriptures say, take heed to your friends. Because that's not what the Most High would consider a friend. So I don't know how you considering that a friend or even a best friend. When you talking to them, is you talking productive or you talking BS? If it's an acquaintance, say that. But to sit there and say, that's my friend, that's my best friend. Your best friend wicked as hell. Again, what was that scripture? Was it in this chapter?
Which one?
I think it was the one in Proverbs. But basically, in a nutshell, it was basically saying you are the company that you keep. I think it was one that I brought out on the fly. But how that's your best friend and they wicked? How that's your best friend and all y'all do is gossip together? Right. How that's your best friend and they add fuel to your fire when they should be quenching that spirit and checking you and getting you back on track? Because again, a faithful friend is one who fears the Lord, and a faithful friend will direct his or her friendship aright. Oh, matter of fact, is this part. For as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. As you are, your neighbor is going to be. So if you find that, you flock to people who like drama, if you find that, you're kind of like joining yourselves to those who like the chisme, the gossip, the tea, them ain't faithful, them ain't friends. Not according to God, they ain't friends.
Mm-hmm. You got to check what's in you that's making you gravitate.
You really got to check what's in you, because it's like, dang, how come I keep connecting to these type of people? Right. Well, yes,
No, I was going to say, what type of spirit are you in when you make those type of connections? You only building friendships when you mad. Oh, I was mad at that person too. You mad? Oh, I hate that person too. You hate him? I was just saying that. Like, type of friendship, what is that really based off of? Now you got a problem. It's like, just the conversation devolves and it's only gossip.
Facts. What Drake say, people that don't mess with me is linking up with people that don't mess with me just to mess with me. That's not a true friendship. Man. Again, a faithful friend. We talking about faithful friends. Mm-hmm. Faithful men, I'm sorry. Faithful men. We broke down the fake friend side. Faithful men are going to make sure that they're. I don't care how you feel about me. If you full of doo-doo, I'm gonna tell you. Mm-hmm. If you need to hear it, I'm gonna tell you. Because as a brother, if I'm your brother or sister, I want the best for you. I've had a conversation with many sisters, and I know a lot of say, oh my God, see brothers, I talk about sisters, whatever. We do it with brothers too. At least here we do. I've had many conversations with sisters, had some recently. Why y'all don't get on such and such when they don't come? Why you don't get on this? Why you don't do that? I hope you feel like hear their mouth. You're not a real sister. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me you're going to transgress the law and not correcting your sister because you don't want to hear their mouth. You're more, I don't want to call it afraid because I don't think anyone's afraid, but you're more concerned with their reaction to you than you are with how God is going to look at you not doing this, being worried about the reaction to you. You're not a faithful woman. You're not a real friend. You're not a real sister. Because I don't want to hear their mouth. Why don't y'all do it? Y'all the men. Because y'all got a sisterhood for a reason. We don't go to sister and say, why you didn't tell that brother such as, we don't do that. Right. Because we as men are like, if you don't like what you're hearing and it's true, that sounds like a you problem. You know what you need to go do? Look in the mirror. Self-reflect. As a real friend, that's what I'm going to tell you. If we peoples, that's what I'm going to tell you, because at the end of the day in this walk, this is what it should be. In this walk, we should be wanting the best for one another. In this walk, we should be looking at these individuals and saying, man, they going off. I don't want that to happen to them. Hey, if they mad at me, it is what it is. They got a decision to make at that point. Because I'm not going to coddle them for the sake of their little attitudes. If I'm coming at you direct, if I'm not disrespecting you, and I'm coming at you direct, and everything I'm saying is true, and oh, like they told when they said it, that's a you problem. Right. I don't care. It's like, okay, you ain't been here in however long. You 6 months behind on alms. But every time I see you, you got a bottle. You bring bottles every other week. You got enough for alms. At this point, you're just not charitable. And we're going to get on that too. We talking about faithful men. You're just not charitable. You complaining that they put you on for the feast. You're not charitable. Again, we're going to get on that too. You ain't a faithful brother or sister. And me, as a brother trying to be a faithful brother, or a woman as a faithful sister, I'm going to tell you about yourself. Because that's what faithful men, faithful women do. Now, understand what faithful, this is twofold. A faithful brother or a faithful sister, one to another, and one that the Lord deems as faithful. Because when you look up the Hebrew word, it means someone who's trustworthy. These men, I want the Most High to look and say, I can trust that brother. He may not, he may have his quirks, but at the very least, I know that this is a sincere individual, and I know I can trust them to 9 times out of 10 do the right thing. Okay. And on the one time that they maybe not do the right thing, they trying to do the right thing, and they correct themselves when corrected. Okay. That's what a faithful individual to the Most High is. We're gonna touch on that too. Again, some people aren't as faithful as they think they are. That's the crazy part. I'm this, I'm that, I keep the laws, I do this. Okay, but we're going to run through this. What your circle look like? Lazy, gossiping, hating, coveting. You're not that faithful, bro. Because in the eyes of the Most High, he's looking at your circle too. He's like, who do they keep aligning themselves with? What energy or spirits are they putting themselves around? That counts. That matters. That matters to the Most High. Because the ways of the wicked will seduce you. It will. We finished up with that, right? Let's go to Sirach chapter 37. And we're going to read verse 12. This one's a classic. We bring this one out all the time.
Sirach chapter 37, verse 12. But be continually with a godly man.
What does that look like? Read.
Whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord.
That's not it, though. Read.
Whose mind is according to thy mind.
What else?
And will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry.
Why did I bring this out? It don't say nothing about a faithful man. Right? It don't say nothing about a faithful man. But it's talking about a godly man. And now, I'm excluding the commandment part. We already know that, right? It's the second part. Their mind is like yours, and they will sorrow with thee if you miscarry. If you having hard times and hardships, a godly man will be a faithful man. A godly man will be there with the... You need to cry on my shoulder, bro. You need a vent. You need some money. I done seen brothers do it. All praise to the Most High for the faithful brothers that we really have in here, even if it's a convenience. Many a times, I done seen brothers do it. Whether it's, man, I got a full schedule already. I ain't spent much time with my kids, but dang, this brother's asking about this particular question, and now his faith is kind of like wavering. Some people will be like, man, you know, we're going to have to schedule something later on. I know brothers that have dropped what they doing and was like, all right, let's make it happen. I'm going to sacrifice this. I know brothers that's been struggling. I might be home. They might take my house from me. You know, I ain't been able to make my payments, my mortgage. I'm behind 3 months. It's a brother struggling, and maybe they don't got room in their house here. I'm going to give you some money for a room and for food. You barely got money, but even as an inconvenience, they're going to make that happen. I done seen brothers, I know particular brothers that I have inconvenienced a number of times with the mother of my children. Every 2 days, we at their house for 4 hours going through counsel. And I'm just like, you would think that they like, bro, get that. But every single time, he's like, come on, let's deal with it. Let's talk about it. You know what better stuff you could be doing for 4 hours? That's a long time. Really 8 hours, because it's 4 hours twice a week. You know what I could be doing? You know what these individuals could be doing? But that's a godly man and a faithful friend who sorrowed with me when I was miscarrying, when I was going through stuff. Tried to reason with me. Looked out for me. So that's the importance of the scripture. It says, be with a godly man. But that godly man is also a faithful man. In the eyes of the Most High God, a godly man is a faithful or trustworthy man whose mind is like yours. Remember what I talked about the friend earlier? How y'all friends and best friends if y'all on 2 different walks? Amos 3 and 3. How can 2 walk together except they be agreed? Right here it says you need to be with a godly man who has the same mindset as you. What it's saying is you need to be in a godly mindset. How your friend or your best friend or your close friend, and they not even in the truth, they're not on the same walk. Right. You're going against the scriptures because you're not with a godly man or woman. But these are the people you constantly dealing with, and you wonder why you can't grow in the spirit. You wonder why you're still struggling with the same things you've been struggling with. You wonder why you can't elevate. You wonder why you still got the same mindset of, well, that's just what I do. That's just what it is. That's just me. We should be striving to be better, do better. Be continually with a godly man. A godly man is going to always have your back. That is also that faithful friend that's the medicine of life. That is also that faithful friend that's going to set his friendship aright. Line him up with the Most High. That's what a friend is going to do. A faithful man. One that the Lord is looking highly on. Like, yeah, that's one. Sirach 7. So, quick recap. A faithful friend is the medicine of life. A faithful man, or woman is an individual that you can trust, that will give you their last, even at the sake of it being an inconvenience. That's going to check you and not just leave you to, your own devices, for lack of better words, because they don't want to hear your mouth or they don't want to hurt your feelings, things like that. If you ain't doing that, you ain't as trustworthy or faithful in the eyes of the Most High as you think you are. A faithful man or woman will sorrow with thee if you shall miscarry. When you have an issue, you should be able to reach out to these individuals. That's a form of alms. That's a form of charity, having a charitable heart. I ain't got no money, but I'll give you my time. If you ain't got that, we're going to get to it. Don't worry about it. Sirach 7. 7 and... Sirach chapter 7 and verse 18.
Sirach chapter 7, verse 18. Change not a friend for any good by no means.
Read that again.
Change not a friend for any good by no means.
If you got a brother that's a brother, if you got a friend that's a friend, that's looking out for your spirit, that's always got your best interest at heart, that's your hype man, your encourager, that's always trying to keep you in line and on track with the Most High, wanting what's best for you. If you got a friend like that, it says what? Read that from the top.
Change not a friend for any good by no means.
You better not trade that in for nothing. That person is invaluable. Read.
Neither a faithful brother for the gold of Ophir.
Invaluable. Real friends is hard to come across. I forgot how the bar was set up, but Nipsey said something like that. He said, and what you'll value most is an honest friend. Mm-hmm. Through everything else, the one thing you're going to love, you're going to value, you're going to cherish, if you sincere yourself, is an honest and faithful friend. Let's go to I want to do Hebrews first. Let's go to Hebrews. I'm going to show you. Let me see if I lined it up that way. I did. We're going to do it like that. What did I say? Hebrews? 11. We're going to read 7 through 9 first. And then we're going to drop down. Let's read that first.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 7. By faith, Noah, being warned of the Most High, of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith.
Now, real quick, this was all done by faith. Noah's faith. Noah's trust in the Most High. But here's the part that a lot of us don't process. The Most High had faith or trust in Noah to tell him to be the one to do it.
Right.
You know how many people fold under peer pressure? Noah could have been like, man, everybody gonna think that I'm crazy building this thing. I don't want. Why you gotta make me? Why I gotta be me? Most High said, I got faith in you. I got trust in you. I know you gonna do it. So I chose you. You got to understand, like, how faithful of a man you got to be for the Most High to say, you going to build that. And the, what's the word? Ridicule. He was going around telling people, yo, y'all need to get on this. Y'all need to come on. Everybody like, no, shut the hell up. He was cool. Watch this. Tell me if this don't sound familiar, Shamar. Man, I don't know what happened. Jake started reading that Bible and he started going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You know how many people, you know how many people, and it's funny because then they run into me and we have conversations like, man, it's crazy. Everybody think you done lost your, excuse my language, mama, your rabbit-ass mind. And I'm like, really? Well, that's crazy because I don't even talk to that person. But they go around telling, man, Kimani went crazy. Oh, man, I don't know what the hell he be. He be on that Bible stuff, and he be tripping.
Well, the jokes. You know they was making jokes. Probably talking, the little slick, the little slick saying, sitting around talking with Noah. Man, I don't know what I'm going to do for my rent this month, but if I need to, at least we got a boat. Just little stuff that Israel be throwing their shots. You be like, all right.
Well, I guess I really ain't got to pay my rent because we're all going to die.
Right. Israel. Whew. They was making the jokes.
They do it today. There's people that have left the truth because people kept asking them too many questions, made them feel uncomfortable, and they just like, man, I don't want to feel different. I don't want to feel that way. So I'm going to just go back in the world so I can just, I'm good now. The Lord had to have real life trust in Noah to know through all of the ridicule the jokes, the scorn, the scoffing, this man is still going to do what I need him to do. Verse 8.
Verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went.
Read.
By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise.
By faith, Abraham did these things. One, we see that Abraham had faith in the Most High. Now, how do we know that? Because he obeyed the Most High. And this is where a lot of Christians get things confused. I got faith in Christ. I got faith in God. Well, do you really? Because if you had faith in Christ, you would obey what he told you. If you have faith in God, you will obey what he told you. We're saved by the grace that I have faith in. Well, the grace, if you understand the grace in the Bible, the grace is the ability to repent without an animal sacrifice. That's what we read in the book of Hebrews. And you need to have faith that Christ died and was that final sacrifice and no longer continue to sin and repent. That's what faith is. But we saw Abraham had faith in the Most High because he obeyed him. He got up and went. Now, another situation. Abraham was a Chaldean. He lived in ancient Babylon. Not the Neo-Babylonian Empire, but ancient Babylon, also known as Sumeria. Not Samaria, Sumeria. When you read Joshua chapter 24 and verse 6, it talks about the people in that time, in that place, they were idolatrous. They were wicked and they were idolatrous. That was Abraham's people. And of all of those people, God had faith, trust, that Abraham would be the one to listen to what he told him. You know what kind of person you got to be for the Lord to have faith in you? I'm going to choose this particular individual for these things. Think about it. I chose Noah to save humanity. The Lord got to have a level of trust in you. You got to be a special type. Like, Noah had to be on his P's and Q's as a human being, just walking around as every, he said, that's the one. I'm going to choose him. Abraham, I got trust in this man. I'm going to choose him to start the lineage of my chosen. Yeah. Granted, of course, you got Noah, Seth, and all of them, the sons of God that ran through them. But he said, I chose that one. And that's who I made my covenant with. First of all, Mama, I know you know how contracts work. In order to go into business or make a covenant or agreement with somebody, you have to have some type of trust in them. Most High said, the promise that I have for you, the promise that I have for this particular people that I'm going to create, I'm going to draft the covenant, draft the agreement, the contract, and I'm going to have you sign it. I have trust that you're going to carry out these things. I have trust that you're going to carry out your fiduciary duties in this contract to make sure that this contract is never voided. You know how much trust and faith? You know what time, like, he had to already be walking around being a faithful man. The Lord had to be looking at this individual like, that one. Kind of like the King David situation. All them big buff and then a little pretty one. Right. Little pretty boy. That one. Because of the spirit he had on him already. Are you a faithful man? Are you a faithful woman? Do you believe that out of the billions of people on the earth, if something happened, the Most High is going to say, that one? I need that one. I'm going to carry this out. I'm going to choose that one. Think about it. Drop down to verse, I think it's 16. Let me see. I'm sorry, 17. Drop down to 17.
Verse 17, by faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son.
So this faithful man had faith, trust in the Father. The Father had granted, he was like, I'm going to test him. But I'm pretty sure the Most High knew, like, this. Look at what he's done thus far. Kind of like the Job situation. Look at what he's done thus far. I can almost bank on the fact that he's going to pass this test. But let's see. But by faith, him being faithful in the Lord, obeying the Lord, because that's what faithfulness, you got to obey the Most High in order to be faithful. And you got to have a specific type of spirit for the Lord to be faithful in you, trusting in you. He said when he had to offer up his son, he said, Lord, I'm going to do it. That's what it is. You want me to do it? I'm going to do it. Drop down, 27.
Verse 27, by faith.
Now this is talking about Moses, read.
He forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible.
It's talking about Moses. Now there's a few of them in there, like even the Noah situation, but Moses is a big one. That's like, I'm a billionaire with all this power. And I'm like, to hell with all that. I see everything going on with my people. I ain't scared of these big wigs. I'm finna go down here and I want to make a difference for my people. Lord put it on that man's spirit to do that. Just think about, imagine the Jay-Z not being scared of the industry leaders.
You're right.
Got to watch our words because they run YouTube too.
Look at what Kanye's doing right now.
To a degree. What Kanye's doing. To a degree. And look at how they're censoring him. People to this day, like, hey, he's going crazy. Not really. Not really. Some of the stuff he said is kind of left field, but a lot of what he's talking about, not really. He's not really going crazy. Y'all just so blinded. But that's what Moses did. Moses said, I heard that voice. I'm going to show you my faith by obedience. I'm going to obey what you told me to do. Initially, he was like, but what about this? But what about that? Most High said, look, bro, you going to do it or you ain't going to do it? I'm sorry, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Most High had to give him a little nudge, but he had faith. He said, the right push, he'll do it. That one right there. And it made it all the more, and this is why it was so important, it made it all the more believable because that man left everything he had. To then dwell in the wilderness for 40 years with some ungrateful people. Some headaches. At any point, he'll be like, man, to hell with y'all. I was cool over here. I'm going back over here. Any point he could have did that. That man had so much love for. Not only did he deal with that, when the Most High said, you know what? I'm done with these people. He was there to. No, now remember. Let's not do that. Look, just hear me out. Just hear me out. Remember the promise. And if you do this, everybody gonna be looking at you, Lord, like, you couldn't get them there, so you killed them all. Maybe you ain't the God you said. Like, let's not do that. He fought for his people after that. The Lord knew that was the one he could trust to do that. But that's an individual who is willing to forsake all conveniences for his people, a person who is willing to fight for his people, even when they're ungrateful as hell. That's a faithful man in the eyes of the Most High. It's a faithful man. And again, they showed their faith through their obedience. Not once do you read in here these people was making excuses as to why they should bend the law. Well, we in captivity, so da-da-da-da-da. Or, we in the wilderness, so really we can't do it. You don't see that. They always did their best, gave their best. These are faithful individuals. You have something?
No, you already brought it up.
Con. Now, Let's do it. Proverbs 11. I'm sorry. Before we go there, go back to Hebrews. Let's jump up to verse 6. I want to touch that real quick. I'm sorry. So we went through all of these faithful men, the ones that the Lord deemed faithful. Now I want to show you what the Most High says. And this is going to circle back, full circle, to what I said earlier. Hebrews 11:6.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him.
Without faith. So are you faithful? Without being that godly individual who has that spirit that doesn't mind being inconvenienced. Without being that godly individual that's going to check their brother or sister. Because remember, a faithful person, the Most High knew these were the people that were going to obey. If you faithful, you're going to obey. Obey what? Obey his word. Which words? All of them. Being a true brother and correcting your brothers and sisters. Having that heart to bear one another's burdens. All of that plays a role in how faithful you are. And it said, if you don't have faith and you're not faithful, read that from the top.
But without faith, it is impossible to please him.
If you ain't got those traits, you're not faithful. If you're not faithful, you don't have faith, trust in the Most High. The Most High don't have trust and faith in you. And it's impossible to please him. Not it's hard. Not, it takes no, it's impossible to please the Most High with no faith. And again, your faith is shown through your obedience to what? His word. We don't have to read that whole thing. Go to Proverbs.
11.
Yes. 11 and 13. I should have brought this one out earlier, but it's all right. Circle back to it. Proverbs 11 and 13.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 13. A talebearer revealeth secrets.
Read.
But he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter.
Now that doesn't mean that he's going to, a faithful person hide stuff, but it's saying you have a counselor, you have a confidant.
Yeah. Certain things you don't need to
in this individual. This is the one you can pour your heart out. They're gonna give you all the wisdom in the world. They're not gonna, I got mad at him. Man, let me tell you what this nigga told me. A faithful individual. A true friend, a faithful man, a godly man. However, because these are synonymous. They got your back. Let's go to Acts. Now, this is the one. We're talking about faithfulness. This is the one. We're going to hit a couple of scriptures, and then we're going to talk about it. Acts 10 and 2. Then we're going to flip over. Acts 24 and 17.
Acts chapter 10, verse 2. A devout man and one that feared God with all his house.
Talking about Cornelius. This man was devout. He feared the Lord. He had faith in the Lord. He obeyed the Lord. Read.
Which gave much alms to the people.
And he was charitable. Was that all the two?
And prayed to God always.
And always prayed to the Most High. Just remember that. Flip over to 24. I want y'all to see the common theme here. Acts 24, verse 17.
Acts 24 and 17. Now after many years, I came to bring alms to my nation.
This is Paul. Read it again.
Now after many years, I came to bring alms to my nation and offerings.
Okay. Now, let's go to Tobit. Remember, let's pay attention to the common theme. Tobit chapter 1 and verse 16.
Tobit chapter 1, verse 16. And in the time of Anamesser, I gave many alms to my brethren, and gave my bread to the hungry, and my clothes to the naked. And if I saw any of my nation dead or cast about the walls of Nineveh, I buried him. And if the king Sennacherib had slain any when he was come and fled from Judea. I buried them privately, for in his wrath he killed many, but the bodies were not found when they were sought for of the king.
So I needed 16 and 17. That was the important part. What was the common theme? God, the alms and the charity. Who were these men? Cornelius, devout and faithful to the Most High, obedient. Paul, faithful, obedient, devout. Tobit, the whole book of, there's so many places in Tobit told his son Tobias, he was like, make sure that you are giving alms. He was willing to die. He's like, I know I'm going to probably die if I continue to do this, but this counted as his alms. This man was charitable. He had a charitable heart, even though it could cost him his life. Why am I bringing this out? Because if you have a selfish, non-charitable heart, chances are you're not a faithful man. Chances are you're not a faithful woman. If we talking about, we got alms that are due or whatever the case is in the congregation, oh my God. Chances are you lacking in that realm of being faithful. And remember, without faith, it is impossible to please the Most High. Mm-hmm. When you lack in charity, you lack in faith. When you lack in faith, the Lord don't look at you as faithful, trustworthy. These were devout people. You got all these people that come to Sabbath class, watch the videos online, come to the feast days, and don't contribute a damn thing. You ain't faithful. And you should be ashamed of yourself, because the Most High is ashamed of you. Charity go to Sirach, is a huge deal. And I'm going to show you something. It's so cold, because again, everything is, when you understand these scriptures, the more that you're here, the more you'll start to comprehend what it is the Most High be saying, the men of the Most High be saying. Ecclesiasticus 12:3. Watch this. 1 through 3. I'm sorry. No, I'm tripping. That's 1 Corinthians. Sirach 12:3.
And I don't know if you have the 1 Peter 4 8. You want to bring that up? Can I bring that out next?
Yeah, after this.
Sirach chapter 12, verse 1.
Verse 3.
Verse 3, Salakia. There can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil.
Hold on. Let that marinate. Can't no good from the Most High come to an individual always occupied in evil, in shenanigans, unproductiveness, foolishness. But watch this. Read.
Nor to him that giveth no alms.
Now, this is what a lot of people don't realize about this scripture. These two things were just compared in the same verse. You know what that means? That means the Lord esteems being not charitable. He esteems it on the same level as someone occupied in evil. A non-charitable individual in the eyes of the Most High is a wicked individual. I'll say it again for those in the back. A non-charitable person is the same as a wicked person. A person who is not charitable, does not give alms deeds, the Lord looks at them as a wicked, faithless, untrustworthy individual. I want you to hear that. Because a lot of us kind of look at it,
everybody else paying their alms, it's okay. Oh, stuff getting done around the church is okay. Everybody else brought their food to the feast, it's okay.
if you finding these excuses to not be charitable, for any of you out there, I want you to check your spirits. Any of you guys out there, look in the mirror. Are you making excuses to not be charitable? Are you making excuses to not give to the Lord? Give to his brothers and sisters? Are you making excuses to be wicked? Because that's the crazy part. People think wicked is, I'm sinning. Well, if you believe being wicked is sinning and God just equated a selfish, non-charitable heart to someone occupied in evil, do I got to spell it out for you? If it's like pulling teeth to get you to bring something to the feast, you wicked in the eyes of the Most High. If somehow, some way you manage to go to all the, events and all that good stuff, but you're behind on alms, do I got to spell it out for you? And it's so cold, like, brothers bring scriptures like these out all the time. You're talking to people in the world, talking to people in the truth, talking to people in the congregation, whatever. I've never heard it expressed in the same manner. In the exact same verse, there is a correlation made between a person always occupied in evil and a person who does not like to be charitable. He said, ain't no good coming to either of you. Because that's the equivalent to being wicked, not having a charitable heart. Think about it. I'm just saying. Think about it. So, we're talking about faithful individuals. Faith is shown through your obedience. That's one. When we talk about faithful men. Faithful men is equivalent to godly men. Godly men are individuals who will do their best to ensure that they give you their best for you to be your best. They will give you their last. They care more about your soul than your feelings. And why am I dealing with this? Because a lot of people think, like this is something that's missed. Oh, I just don't feel like hearing them out for, well, that's just them, or whatever the case is. You don't understand how you've made it impossible for you to please God. And the Lord looks at you as evil because you don't want to be inconvenienced, because you don't feel like hearing their mouth, because it's not my problem, they grown. It said a true friend is going to make sure that they set their friendship aright, because a true friend is supposed to be the medicine of life. You ain't a true friend if you ain't doing those things. You ain't a true friend if you can't be inconvenienced. You're not a faithful man unto the Most High if you can't be inconvenienced, especially for his work. What'd you want, 1 Peter, you said?
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8, on the same topic.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8. And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves.
Fervent, which is like a burning charity, right? Because just like everything we were talking about, charitable with your time, it's not just money. I think that's what oftentimes people get caught up on. And the scriptures do express an importance of money. It answers all things. But there's so much more that you have to give when you don't have money to give. Because then oftentimes those things also have to be so much more sincere. And it's, if a brother is in a financial position, hey man, I need this, I need that, and they can give you the money, that's a blessing. But if they don't have that to be able to give, and they say, well, I can't do that, but I can show up for you, sometimes that's all you need. And sometimes you might need that more than the finances. But they're all still important, and they're all still an aspect of charity. whether you're willing to give your time, you're willing to give your effort, your energy, sometimes, you know, that love that people need, that embracing that people need, all of those things, but you have to be charitable. He said above all things, because that's the same thing that Christ was expressing. When he was talking about if you come to visit me when I was in prison, you gave me food when I didn't have anything.
Clothed me when I had no raiment.
Exactly. That's all charity.
All of it.
So, you know, you look at faithful men, you look at good leaders, they're always someone who is willing to give and someone who is willing to sacrifice, as opposed to always
even
looking
to the
for
point of their own lives.
Exactly. As opposed to looking for what they could get from people, as opposed to how they could use that influence to manipulate or to pull from people. They're always using it to give. Go ahead.
And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins.
And it was like you were saying, not giving alms is equated to wickedness, but being charitable is literally equated to righteousness. It covers atoning. It covers a multitude of sins. You could literally, you know, help the crusade for your own personal salvation just by being a charitable individual. Because you never know where people are in their lives. You never know what your giving is going to mean to them. You never know when they're down to their last and that meant everything to them. But like Christ said, when you did it to them, it was like you doing it to me. So every time that you help somebody that ain't nobody else helping, every time that you help people that don't even have a way of paying you back, it's like you doing those things for Christ. And Christ is looking at it as if you did that to him. Like, man, you a faithful friend. You're a good person because I see, you know, the level of sacrifice or the level of things that you're willing to give. Like you said, even when you may not even have it to give, but you'll still give what you can, because there's always something that we could be given to some level. I just wanted to throw that in.
Read that from the top.
And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves.
Read that one more. Like, I'm letting it resonate before I say something. Read it from the top. We're going to talk about it.
And above all things.
And above all above how well of a teacher you are. Above how well of a speaker you are. Above how much money you have. Above the languages you can speak. Above all the knowledge you've been studying so you could teach. Above all of that. Above the amazing lessons you done put together. Above everything else. What?
Have fervent charity.
Charity is more important than all of that. I don't think people realize that. People be so focused on being amazing teachers. Oh my God, I've been doing all the studying. I've been doing da. We're going to talk about that too real soon. It says above all of that. Now read the second part.
Among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins.
Now don't take this as people, so all I got to do is give money. No. Perfect example. One that was on a highway to hell for persecuting the believers, Paul. What charity did Paul give? This man gave his time and his life to the ministry. Got his whooped, got stoned, got beat, got shipwrecked, and still gave his time to these churches to build up these churches, to give them understanding in the word. His charity was his time. His charity was the information that he was feeding to them to bring them back to the fold. That's what charity looks like when it's covering a multitudes of sins. What alms look like when it's covering them. Alms is not just money. It's a part of it. Alms deeds. When you look up the word charity in the Greek, it says alms or alms deeds. If you ain't got the money, what can you do? And if you can do something, are you doing it? Here's an example. The parable of the talents. The one that said, I'm going to just, go ahead and put it in this dirt. I'll bring it back to you later. What do you do with it? Nothing. Nothing. And the Lord said, you wicked as hell. He did nothing. And the Lord said, you wicked as hell. Remember, the other ones multiplied their talents. What is that talking about? He said, I gave you a little bit and you ran with it. I gave you a little bit of this knowledge. You went out there and you started fishing. But that one got the knowledge and said, well, I'm going to just go over here and I'm going to keep these laws. It's okay, you know. People ask me, oh, these are just fringes, you know. Oh, yeah, no, I personally don't eat that. But if you want to, you can eat that over there, you know. But I'm just not going to eat it because you didn't multiply your talents. You were so worried about being ridiculed and scrutinized that you just hid the talent and did no alms deeds. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of these scriptures that we read over and over and over, and a lot of people only understand it for surface level. Like this is real. It says above everything else. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how much studying you do. I don't care how many languages you know. Mm-hmm. I don't care how many great lessons you got. I don't care how many subscribers you got on YouTube. He said, I care about how much alms, charity you putting in to be a faithful man or a faithful woman. That's cold. Go first. What's this? 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians.
One last point.
Oh, you have something? Go ahead.
No, it wasn't. It was just like the woman who only had the 2 mites, while everybody else was casting in all this money. She only had 2 mites, but she gave all that she had.
Everything.
And Christ was like, she gave more than everybody because she gave. That was all that she had. It's easy if you got $1 million and you throw in 10,000.
Throw 100K in, whatever. I got 900 left.
And I'm not saying that's a small amount of money. That's a big, that's big money. There's a lot of things that can be done with that. But that's still like a safe donation. You know, you're not about to be hurting if you got $1 million and you throw in 10,000, 50,000. All praises. You know, you got some faith, but that's not a major portion of what you have. But when you only have, she had 2 mites.
She said, I believe in your ministry so much. This is all I got, and I'm going to give it to you.
He was like, she gave more than everybody else here.
That's wild. 1 Corinthians 13. This is to my point. Because Paul said exactly what I just said. Because, people are like, if it ain't scripture, you can get out the scriptures. I don't want to hear it. Okay, cool. Let's get it out the scriptures. Let's talk about the scriptures. Let's start at verse 1.
1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels.
Though I can speak all these different languages, I can interpret the scriptures. I got to understand. My understanding is, next level. Read.
And have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
Who the hell cares? That's what he's saying. He said, you got all this knowledge. You understand these scriptures. You got this amazing understanding. You can speak in all these different languages and all of that. But I ain't nothing if I ain't got charity. Read.
And though I have the gift of prophecy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that one because there's so many people that can break down these prophecies. And even in olden times, the people that actually saw the prophecies, even if I could see that, even if I could do that, even if I could break it down, read.
And understand all mysteries.
And I could understand all the deep, dark sayings in this book. Read.
And all knowledge. And
I got these laws down packed, bro. I know them all, front to back, upside down, left, right. I can invert it. I could all that. If I got all of that, read.
And though I have all faith.
This the cold part. Well, they said they got faith. What that mean? To have faith means I believe. But how much? Because here's the thing. How much faith do you really have if you ain't being charitable? Because if you have faith, you're going to do what Christ said. What did Christ say? When you visited me in jail. When you gave me clothes when I ain't have it. When you gave me somewhere to sleep, I didn't have shelter. When you gave me food when I was hungry.
Sick and you visited me, right?
Sick and you visited. When you did these things, you had faith. So what it's talking about here is, though I believed. Though I believe in Christ, though I believe in the Most High, but you don't have full faith because you didn't do those things, because that's a part of charity and that's a part of your faith. So that's what it's talking about right here when it's talking about faith. Read that from the top, verse 2.
Verse 2, and though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing.
I am nothing. Now, mind you, here's the thing when we're talking about faith. Like, you could have all, like, there's people in this world to this day, they call it manifesting. I got all the faith in the world. I'm almost delusional with my faith, and I'm putting my all into it. And literally the things that I'm putting my all into, it manifests because I had the faith for it. It said, even if I could do that, but I have no charity, I'm what?
I am nothing.
It's so cold. It's so cold. It's so cold. There's a lot of people that believe that they are faithful. This one right here unsocked a lot of y'all in the mouth. This one right here. Because a lot of people lacking in alms deeds and alms and having a giving heart and being charitable. And not doing it grudgingly, because the scriptures talk about that. It says be happy when you do it. Don't do it grudgingly. Don't do it, with a hardened heart. Don't do that. It said, even if I could speak all the tongues, I understood the prophecies, I had all the knowledge, I know the laws backwards, forward, inside out. I got enough faith in my mind and in everything that I do that I could move mountains, I could manifest things. He said, if my charity ain't there, not only, because Sirach said, not only am I equated to wicked, God looks at me as nothing. Paul said, I ain't nothing. Nothing. If I ain't got charity. Verse 3.
Verse 3, and though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor.
Now watch this.
And though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing.
Now two things. Oof. Two things. One. Charity is done with sincerity. There's people that'll give a whole lot to get the praise for it, to get the attention for it. Oh my God, did you see what they did? Oh, did you see how much money they gave? Oh, did you see they gave them the... Then you got these martyrs, these self-righteous martyrs. I'm gonna die for the cause. But why did it say, but I still don't have charity? That's charitable.
Right.
Charity has to be sincere. Not because everybody saw me do it. Think about it. Perfect example. Christ, right? Every time he did something, he was inconvenienced a lot. He's literally spent his time giving it to the people. And when he did miracles and stuff like that, and he had the love to do that, he just said, hey, now make sure you go tell all of them. What he said?
Go and tell no man.
He said, see that you go and tell no man. I'm doing this sincerely. I don't want people to know, oh, that's who it is. And that's what we don't understand. Because people will do all of this. People are, I gave all my goods to feed the poor. I gave everything to feed the poor. Yeah, but a lot of y'all do that for clout. A lot of y'all do that because everybody like, oh my God, did you see that? You see what they did? For publicity, for acknowledgement. Because one thing we crave if we ain't got money is attention. If we ain't got no money, we want some, as long as everybody see, people rather be famous than rich.
Man.
That's what's so crazy. A lot of people just, hey, and think about it. There's certain people, like I didn't ask you that. I don't care. Be talking about like music or something like, yeah, I like such and such. He got good music. Hey, I know that dude. Hey, one time, before he blew up, he used to be in my studio. But I ain't ask you all that. I don't care. But just to know that you know him. That's how a lot of people have that mindset. I just want the attention. A lot of these martyrs were not righteous martyrs. They did it because I'm going to go down in the history books.
Yep, like the dudes in the Maccabees.
Oh, a perfect one. The people in the Maccabees or the vagabonds in the book of Acts. They got toe up.
Paul's put on.
Charity is not just and this is what we have to understand. Charity is not just the act. Charity is the heart, the spirit, the mindset you had behind doing the act. Because if you're doing it grudgingly, if you're doing it feeling the type of way, you might as well not do it. Don't do it. So that's what this is talking about, because we've seen there's like literally not much more you can do outside of this when we're talking about charity. So it almost sounds contradicting, right? But one thing about charity is when people are doing charity, according to the Bible, what the Lord wants, they do it out of what's called simplicity of heart or sincerity of heart. Think about that. Because a lot of us believe we got faith. A lot of us believe we faithful. And a lot of us is missing that. And what did it say? If you ain't got faith,
It's impossible to please him.
it's impossible to please the Most High. And if you ain't charitable, you ain't got faith. And if you ain't charitable, you're equated to wicked. And if you ain't charitable, in the words of Paul, you are nothing. Let's go to, I have one more. We're going to wrap it up after this. Hebrews 13. And this is kind of along the lines of charity as well. Hebrews, and we pull this out all the time too. But today is the day we're going to talk about it. Hebrews 13 and verse 16. Oh, yeah.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 16.
Watch this.
But to do good.
But to do good, read.
And to communicate.
And to what?
To communicate.
One more time.
Communicate.
Uh-huh.
Forget not.
Uh-huh.
For with such sacrifices.
Such what?
Such sacrifices.
Such sacrifices, read.
God is well pleased.
What is it saying? It is a sacrifice to communicate. You have to sacrifice your time. And if you have to sacrifice your time, this is equivalent to charity or an alms deed. I have to go out of my way to not just communicate, hey, I'm going to be late. No. For example, we got congregants outside of the state, outside of California. We have to communicate with them so they don't feel like I'm just an outcast. I'm just a number. I'm a statistic in the congregation. Like, what's the word? Charting out time to say, okay, I'm around this time. This is my free time. This is when I'm gonna try to reach out to them. It's a good deed to do good and communicate.
Well, I just don't feel like it.
Why? I'll be busy. Nigga, you've been playing the game for 2 hours. I'll be busy. Bro, you literally been sitting on the couch. I get it. Sometimes you need to decompress, but guess what? It's a sacrifice that the Most High is well pleased with. Because that's what charity is, usually a sacrifice. You sacrifice in time. You sacrifice in funds. Communicating, you sacrifice in time. And it's something that the Lord is well pleased with. Now think about it. With such sacrifices, the Lord is well pleased. Is using the concept of deductive reasoning. If you are not charitable enough to make such sacrifices, the Lord will be well
Upset.
displeased, upset.
Right.
Just saying. We have to, as a nation of people, be better in communication, when we communicate, how we communicate, even if it's an inconvenience. I can't count how many times on my hand I look at the phone and I'm like, oh, I know this is going to be a long conversation, but I know this brother ain't got nobody else to talk to, or I know that, this might be a serious situation. Usually they only call me when it's, like they going through it. They have nobody else to talk to. I don't do it grudgingly. It's just in that moment, it's like, dang, I thought I had some time for me, but it's okay. Let's hop on the phone. Let's deal with it. I can't count how many times I just thought that I had the day. And it be days that I got my daughters. I'm like, all right, baby, I'm going to get off the phone right now, and then we going to go outside and play. I'm like, okay, I got about 30 more seconds. Boop. Damn, the other line? All right. Maybe I'll send it to voicemail and call them in 30 minutes. But I'll always make sure that I call them back. Communication is a serious thing. That's a part of your charity too. And if if it's too much of an inconvenience, it's a problem. In short, charity are the things that you can give or do that you can, for lack of better words, be happily inconvenienced to give or do. If you don't have charity, you are nothing. If you are in the truth and it's an inconvenience to you because, it's the Sabbath, I want to sit at home. Scriptures say this is the crazy part. It's the Sabbath of rest. Sabbath was made for men. Cool. In your rest, not your sleep, in your rest, your free time, your leisure time, your relaxed time, Scripture said, wisdom cometh by the opportunity of leisure. At least once a week you have time to leisure, relax. But it's so crazy because it said, in that time of leisure, you should be gaining wisdom. I want you to think about that. I had a long week. Okay, and you still went to work every single day, no matter how tired you were. Now we talking about the Lord's work. Now we talking about giving time to God. I'd rather sit at home instead of fellowship with my like-minded brothers and sisters. I'd rather sit at home, watch Grey's Anatomy, watch Sex in the City, watch. I know, right? Play video games. But the difference is she's here all the time, so she know I ain't talking to her. I'd rather play video games all Sabbath. Watch movies all Sabbath. The Sabbath, yes, it was made for man, but it is also whose Sabbath? It's the Lord's Sabbath. You spend all week now reading your damn Bible. Now watching a Tuesday class, Wednesday class, Thursday class, Friday class. The least you can do is give the day portion, Saturday, can't do nothing else, to feed your soul. Scripture said this is the bread of life. Give us this day our daily bread. You can't sacrifice your time. And the cold part is the ones that do the work, we say this all the time. The ones that'll be doing the work are the ones that's like, cool, I'm here, I'm with my boys, I'm with my sisters. You come here with your like-minded people, and it's like, oh, it's so refreshing. But the ones that don't have charitable hearts, the ones that are not faithful in the eyes of the Most High, the ones that the Lord is calling wicked because of their unwillingness to sacrifice, unwillingness to give alms deeds, their ugly spirit on the feast days. Oh my God, I gotta get dressed, I gotta do this. Oh, and don't let you have to cook. Oh my God, I gotta bring a whole safer pan. Them the ones. Them the ones that got a problem with coming and being with their like-minded individuals, breaking bread and fellowshipping with their brothers and sisters. But let it be a turn up after.
Oh, they're gonna be there.
I bet you they be there.
They're gonna be there.
I bet you they be there. And it's crazy because it be the ones that don't be here, but they'll pop up there. Or maybe they'll come to class that day because they're going to the turn up right after that. Mm-hmm. Are you faithful? I want people to think about that. There's a lot of people that probably thought they was faithful. Are you faithful? You got to go look in the mirror. You got to go back and watch this lesson and be like, damn. Maybe I'm not that faithful. I'm not as charitable as I should be. I'm not that medicine of life as a faithful brother, faithful sister. Maybe I am around the wrong circle. Maybe I do call the wrong people my friends. Because remember, it said, what did it say? As that man is, so is his friend. Mm-hmm. Birds of a feather. People say that in the world. Man, bro, you know, I'm not a hoe. Well, your friends are.
Right.
So, you sure? Because I'm going to treat you how I treat them. Y'all kind of like, you know, what they say, if it look like a duck,
Quack like a duck.
it quack like a duck, it'll walk like a duck.
It's a duck.
It's probably a duck. Probably a duck. You will be judged by the company you keep. Are you a faithful man or a faithful woman in the Most High? Are you willing to sacrifice your time? Are you willing to sacrifice your efforts? Are you willing to sacrifice your funds? Are you willing to get scrutinized for doing the right thing? Are you willing to deal with the headache of your brothers and sisters because they don't want to do right or get right, and you got to correct them as a true, faithful friend who will set his friendship aright, her friendship aright? Are you faithful? Are you faithful? I want to leave y'all with that. Are you faithful? Go look into the mirror. Examine yourselves. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the
faith.
Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Whether you're faithful. Again, these are things that we've read over and over, and it's so cold. Until I had to do this lesson, bro, I never like really looked at some of these scriptures in the fashion that I looked at it. All praise to the Most High. I pray that people got edification from this. I pray that people's spirit got convicted off of this. I pray that people listen to this lesson and say, I got to do better. I pray to the Most High that more than saying, I got to do better, they actually do better.
You want that James 1:22?
Why not? Let's hit that too.
James 1:22. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only.
And not hearers only. These lessons are here to edify you, to build up your spirit, to make you a better person. Mm-hmm. to make you a more righteous person. Don't just hear it and then walk away. That's kind of like I was watching this thing, and it's the faith without works situation. People were like, I was watching, it was an Edomite, his name is Gary V. He said, bro, you don't watch enough damn motivational videos. It's time for you to get up and go do something. You can watch all the motivational videos you want. You're going to feel motivated all you want. But until you get up and go do it, it's doing nothing for you. Mm-hmm. Same thing with these lessons. It's to convict your spirit. But hell, what does it matter if it convicts your spirit and you forget about it? Don't do or don't do nothing about it. Mm-hmm. That faith, that conviction you had, you ain't put no works behind it, it's dead. All praise to the Most High. Happy Sabbath to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. I pray that the Most High gives everyone allows everyone to have a happy and blessed, peaceful, productive Sabbath. We'll be back here tomorrow. I believe it's Bishop Banaya teaching Feed the Sheep, 4:30 Pacific time. Make sure that y'all tap in. Do we got any announcements? If not, all praise to the Most High. Let's pray it out.